Welcome to Pax Europiana Sunset Talk here from Durres. It's very beautiful here. I really love it. This is the hill behind it is the King's Palace of King Vidi, and he was just 6 months here. Then chaos broke out, the First World War, Albania, free independent country. Here is obviously the sunset. It's beautiful in the strategic harbor and I really love it. Yeah? The topic of this video will be the Greater Albania. Shall it be? Is it feasible? And what's the reality between Albania and between Kosovo? And obviously this is a big, question. Everybody has an opinion about it. I will explain you why Greater Albania will never be, why it is actually a fantasy of the Serbs, especially in this moment, why it says something the world should not be worried about, and why it is actually a bad idea and nobody really will. I wonder why I even do this video, but I get some comments and I want to address it somewhere in the mind of the people. Some people talk about it and some people have fantasies about it. So I will explain that this is a bad idea, it is not working, will never happen, and Anschluss is not good. Yeah? Anschluss is the term for my native Austria. We were somehow more or less militarily, involuntarily incorporated in Nazi Germany in 1938. That was the idea of Anschluss. It was in some segments very popular, especially after the First World War. It was very popular, but it was also then very contentious. People knew already what will come in 1938. Not everything, obviously, but that this will be dramatic for many was very clear in the night of the Anschluss already, when many of the Christian Democratic leader of the Social Democrats and of course also the Jews and many, they were already persecuted from day one. So it was terrible. So Anschluss in general is terrible, and there should also be no kind of annexation. In Crimea you have seen it, how terrible that is when the powerful states change the agenda. And also voluntarily kind of reunification in a sense is also a fantasy project, because there is always people who really don't like that, yeah? And their rights matter as well. In Serbia, there live Serbs in Kosovo, of course, yeah? About 100,000, maybe 80,000, yeah? What's with their rights? There's Turkish people there, there's minorities, there's people who have other ideas. They love the republic, they died for the republic. You want to take it away from them and you want to integrate it in a Greater Albania. I mean, and beside that, the Americans and the Europeans, we will never allow it, yeah? And it's out there. By the way, I always make that remark, yeah? Over there is the 6th Fleet, the power, the cruise missiles. Shoo! I want to be very clear, yeah? Nobody will change borders against the will of America and of Europe ever in this part of the world. In Crimea, Russia could do it. Yeah? They were fast, they were brutal, and we were far away and we were sleeping. Yeah? But we will never accept it. Never it will be recognized. Be sure about it. Yeah? And so here also in the Balkans, the borders are now as they are. Kosovo was the last new state to develop, and it will stay forever, the republic. And of course there will be union, don't get me wrong, yeah? Union there will be in NATO. Kosovo will be a NATO member, so there will be the same defense alliance. And Kosovo will be member of the European Union, like also Albania will be. Albania before, it's more advanced and it is already NATO member. There's this advantage of a longer existence, and it will be rather soon. I say 24, will it take more? It will happen. But maybe it will be 29 then for both countries, let's see. But they will be both, and they will then be united in a customs union, in a currency. I hope Albania will also join the Euro soon. They will be united in the European Union as member states. So that will be the Bashkimi, the union. That will be the reality. And certainly there will be no kind of federation, no kind of union, no kind of association. This is all not going to happen. What can happen, of course, is regional cooperation, I say since 10 years, yeah? Like we have it in the Visegrad. I call the Visegrad or the Baltic Council or the Benelux. By the way, Balkan Benelux. The 4 countries here where many Albanians live, most of them live in Montenegro, Macedonia, Albania and Kosovo. they can work together, the four countries, very beautifully, like Mr. Fatmir Sediu has said since and has done. The presidents meet, they agree on cultural cooperation, on mutual everything. In the Nordic Council, the Nordic states, by the way, and the Benelux are much deeper integrated than the European Union in general. They have Benelux, they went for deeper integration. They have Nordic Council, they have Visegrad. It's absolutely possible to go deeper in regional partnerships, political coordination, social security exchange, deeper recognition in social matters. Absolutely fine. They do it in the Nordics, they do it in Visegrad, they do it in the Baltics, they do it in the Benelux. Absolutely perfect. It can be also done in a Balkan Benelux. That's absolutely possible and absolutely fine. But the state sovereignty issues, there will be only one change coming in the future, and that's of course to join a supranational union, the European Union, and nothing else. So here. And actually, let me also say that culturally, and I made the comment already, Albanians from Albania and Kosovo Albanians are very different. This is connected with their history. They were never in a common state. They were only in the Ottoman Empire together. That was the last time they were in one legal imperial entity. That's already 110 years ago next year. So then Serbia conquered Kosovo and Macedonia, and Albania became an independent country, and they were drifting apart with different regulatory regimes, different geographic realities, different language situations. And then that was it. There was no Albanian state before since the times of Skanderbeu in the 15th century. And so that is basically the reality also of these two countries. They are like Austria and Germany, and I say this also with I'm actually, many people think, because I have this German accent on YouTube, I'm always in German. I'm from Austria, from Linz, Austria, Vienna. And we in Austria, we also have this reality with Germany. And we have this friendly relation. We are often seen as very similar. We have also not been in a common state since the Second German Empire was created in Versailles in 1870 for sure. And even before, it was already very clear that the Germans will have the Zollverein and the customs union. And Austria was already not part of it since basically the revolutions of 1848. Before there was, of course, this Holy Empire, and there was some unity to some extent, but there was always the big religious divide, and there was never any kind of central authority since the medieval ages. And we are still very close now, and we have the same language, but we are also very different culturally between Germany and Austria. And in many ways, Austria is the Kosovo of the German-speaking country, and you can say the other way around. Austria, obviously, the smaller brother, if you want to use these family terms, they are a bit misleading, but of course it's similar, Austria to Kosovo, like Albania to Germany. The bigger state, very close, more powerful, with more people who speak the same language, obviously, but also with different dialects, and also with a lot of differences in cultural aspects, because it's very much also in present days that the Albanians have emigrated to Italy. Over there it's very close. You remember the famous ferry which was overloaded with people in '91 when they all tried to escape, but there are hundreds of thousands of Albanians living in Italy and in the south in Greece. They are of course there. And that's of course a big difference. They learn Europe in Greece and in Italy. Okay, I have cultural prejudices. I'm a very big friend of Greece, and I love Italy and I love Greece. But of course you learn a different Europe there, a different way to organize the economy, the society, and everything else. You learn a different Europe. And here, obviously, the Kosovo Albanians, when you ask them, and I speak the language so well enough to discuss with the Albanians from both countries, and I know many of them, and everybody in Albania tells me about this brother in Milano, and about how beautiful Greece is, and the immigration experience there, and there are hundreds, thousands of them there in both countries. It's a lot. And in Kosovo, everybody has a brother in Stuttgart, is a businessman in construction in Munich, and they have apartments in Berlin. And you know, Germany is built in the last 20 years by a lot of Kosovo people working hard in construction site. Not only, there is a lot of other immigration groups, but of course they are in Germany, in Switzerland and in Austria. Overall, I think there are many, of course, also have gone to Canada, very successful, Australia, America, very many of them. But the majority is in the free German-speaking country, and they have learned business in Germany, Austria and in Switzerland, and they have relatives there, they have married there, they know the regulatory reality, they have been culturally adopted in the German-speaking countries, the Kosovo Albanians. And of course, when they come back, they speak German. I was now listening to a lot of German language talk in Pristina, a lot of German cars coming back, and obviously this changes as well. So there's a big cultural difference between Kosovo Albanians and Albanians. Yeah? Here it's Southern Europe, you just need to go and go to the street. Yeah? If you cross the street as a pedestrian, nobody will stop in Albania. In Kosovo, you just try to stand close to the intention to cross. Everybody will stop. It's very different. There's also a different work ethic. When you have a very short break here, also the business people who can really, I know many of the business people and the important people in both societies, you know, here you go, you work in the morning, the main working time is about between 11 and 2, and then they go in the long lunches, yeah? Expensive and beautiful lunches with beautiful seafood, and they enjoy, and then, you know, they go home and then they go out again in the evening, like the Southern Europeans, many of them do. And in Kosovo it's like this, when you sit with an important lawyer, just I sat with him, you know, he's sitting there from 12:30 to 1:30, then he gets already very excited because 2 o'clock latest he wants to be again in the office, work, and put his next 3 hours of the afternoon work into his scheduling. And all the politicians do it the same, and everybody there, all the civil servants, yeah. They have this 1 hour lunch break, they come to office at 8 o'clock and they work until 5, but some of them only 4, because they go to second jobs or to third jobs. Yeah? They often work freelancing, consulting, or in their own, some have their farms. Everybody does 2 jobs there. There's nobody having a 3 hour lunch seafood. Maybe some of them, you know, when they are really beyond but most of the population, 99%, is hard-working German mentality, Swiss mentality. They make a joke and then they work again. No, it's completely different mentalities. It's Central Europe in Kosovo and it's Southern Europe in Albania, and I actually love both of them. It's very much, the contrast is very beautiful for me to be here in southern, this is Central Albania, this is Durrës here, the beautiful sunset I want to show you. I'm very happy here. This is actually a very beautiful country, and it's also a beautiful mentality, because I also love Italy and Greece. I don't want to criticize. For many I want to criticize, but I love it. But the situation is, it's very huge difference between Kosovo Albanians and obviously when you, and Albanians, and when you want to create a common state, then this will be impossible. And who would create that? Who would, by physical force? Yeah, it would be what kind of union? Who would govern it? Yeah. It will lead to a lot of disasters, and ultimately we liberated Kosovo, built a republic. It would be a betrayal of first significance to even consider to have any kind of form of state union or something like this. You know, it would be a betrayal to your American friends and your European friends who were fighting as well for liberation, and it would be a betrayal to everybody who died in the liberation wars, and it would be a complete disaster. So any form of great Albania is only in the minds of Vucic propaganda machine very useful. And so it was so a horrendous mistake of Mr. Kurti to vote in the Albanian election to please his electorate and make a point. But obviously as a prime minister of an independent country, to vote publicly in the election of another country whenever he's a citizen of Albania, that's fine. But it was a very provocative move, and it was a big mistake. And it obviously feeds in the Vucic propaganda machine of Greater Albania, and that undermines the whole case, which Vete Vendosia is now in the government for, of good governance, decent Europeanness, and also leading the country into NATO, and also leading the country into the European Union in a foreseeable time frame. Can be 29, can be 34. Yes, but in this time frame, when the good governance is provided, NATO membership is there, and the recognitions are coming in with American help and European help, then obviously this is possible. But if, of course, the Vucic propaganda machine portrays everybody as nationalist, extremist and wild, then obviously this will all not happen. And obviously that's why it's so important to avoid such kind of provocations, yeah? Because, okay, electorally they might be useful, but they are obviously very harmful in the bigger picture. Yes, so that's a bit my talk here at the sunset. I will now go for dinner. Then I will also keep you posted tomorrow again from Durrës. I want to walk up to the King's Palace. That's on that side. Should be interesting. I've been there only once and it was closed. Maybe it's open. Also show you the amphitheater and some of the sites. And also then go swimming again. I saw the comments, that the sea is nice. I was swimming now. It was really wonderful. I was at this beach here, not at that one, but at that one. It was really wonderful. In the sunset, just half an hour here. It was really beautiful. Of course, much needs to be done for perfection. It's still not a Côte d'Azur, but for me as a humble Austrian, from Linz, and this is paradise as I know it. I really love it. The sunset is beautiful. And I can share some of these experiences and these impressions and my feedback from my visit now to Macedonia, Kosovo, Albania, Montenegro, the 4 countries I love so much, and I want them in the Euro. Okay, Kosovo is already, Montenegro as well, just Macedonia at least is packed. Yeah? Here Albania is still behind, and it's misled by Rama, who has this unholy coalition with the Serb president, who is trying to undermine the sovereignty of Kosovo, and that's very, very annoying for me. And that's why I'm talking about these issues here today. And also I would like to make very clear that in the previous video and in this video about this whole topic about Greater Albania, maybe I didn't cover all the issues, all the aspects of this debate. Maybe there are more. Obviously it will never happen, be sure about it. And obviously it's a terrible idea, and obviously it's propaganda, and there will be 2 independent republics. Actually there are. And they will be both in NATO. Actually one is already Albania. They will be both in the Euro. Actually Kosovo is already. And they will be in a customs union, the European customs union. We should have done that a long time ago. I said it already 10 years. Yeah? But okay, it was not to be. So time to do it now. And they will be very successful countries actually in the future once they are inside the European Union. All the natural resources, the human resources will be very much based on the firm fundament of the Euro and the European regulatory system. And Kosovo will be actually more successful than Albania. Not because of its amazing natural resources, that's a myth, but because of simply they are implementing the law better. Rule of law is much better in Kosovo than in Albania, because they really believe in the letters and they do their best and they have this work ethics. And inside the European internal market, customs union, Euro, etc. And the Kosovo people will be as successful as they are when they come to Austria and Germany. And now I met a lot of them. They are more successful, much more successful than me, with hard work, with construction work, not with drug smuggling, but with construction work, with hotels, with building apartments, renovating apartments. They do it, they know the capacity, they are not shying away from hard work, and they know they can do that, and they are doing it. And that's the way towards success, and they are very much on that way, and that's very good. And they are very successful in Austria and Germany, Switzerland, and so will their country be as well very successful once it's fully integrated in this opportunity of the internal market. And I can just applaud them. And I'm very happy about it. So that's the future of Europe, and here the sunset, it's really very beautiful. I love it. I actually love this setting, to have this exactly western terrace with the sunset. It's the first, yesterday I came very late, and so it's the first sunset I see, and I really love it. It's very magic, beautiful and amazing, and I really love Durrës, yeah. It's also all the bays here are very good. Velipore is the first one after Montenegro when you come in, and then you have Szczecin. That's a bit, swampy, but there's also great development. I have heard, I've seen it 5 years ago the last time. Now I was in Ukraine so long, I didn't see it so well. And then there is of course the Lalsit Bay, which is my favorite, but it's more when you come with family. Now I'm alone here, so this is more the place which is also with access to Tirana, the airport, the logistics. This is really the center of the tourism industry. And then you have Divjaka, which is developing. It's a natural kind of resort area, protected area, also a laguna. And then you have the Laguna Enartas, very beautifully close to Flora. And that's, have I counted it rightly, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 major 20-kilometer sand bays. Not bad for one country. And then you have what many people like even more. You know, when you are young, you like, of course, these Thermi beaches and these loud kind of disco beaches in the south. They are very beautiful naturally as well. But obviously, you know, I like a little bit too. I'm 52. Now in August I will be 53. I like it a bit more quiet and a little bit more like this, yeah. And I like to do my sunset talks. I don't know if the visibility was good and the understanding was good. I hope so. I hope the view is good and you share this passion with me for Durrës now. I will try to keep you posted about the various sites I can discover here. Durrës, to my best view and best knowledge, is really, you know, there's still work to do to clean it up, to make it perfect. I talk about, you know, all aspects here. I don't give you propaganda talks here. I show you also how complicated public services are, and you know, waste collection, water collection, and all these things are a challenge, obviously, in these emerging new countries. But within 20 years, because Albania had a complicated transition history from 90 to 2000, the decade was lost in chaos, war, Kosovo war, Macedonian crisis, and Bosnian war, smuggling, and all the other issues during the embargo times. Durrës was, of course, the main port for the embargo breakers. And it was a very complicated time, the 90s here. The pyramid scheme, the breakdown of the system, the stolen or the complicated elections, let's call it like this, of 96, and you know, the socialist coup, call it like this or not. And then obviously the Kosovo war and all the consequent crisis of these 2 years of struggle, which had a lot of effect. But maybe also good to mention in this video that it was mainly Kosovo people fighting in Kosovo. There was very few Albanians going to fight there. So that's also maybe one of the differences between the two nations, that the support for Kosovo liberation was very much coming from the diaspora living in Germany and Switzerland. Yeah? They were sending their fighters when they were young. They were sending the money, collecting it from their diaspora. They were making independence feasible by supporting, of course, as ground forces, also the American Navy and the Air Force to defeat the Yugoslavian terror regime. It was very few Albanians who went to fight in Kosovo, and that's also one part. So ultimately, you know, the whole topic about Great Albania, I want to make it very clear, is Serb propaganda. It's of course emotionally a big thing. You can find then the moment, yes, it would be good, like theory, like emotionally. Obviously it's one people in a sense. Yeah? They have never done any criminal activities like we in Germany and in Austria with the Nazi terror regime, where you had then to somehow distance yourself. Also the Austrians very much distancing ourselves from the terror regime, and then from Germany after the Second World War, building our own republic and creating our own state, our own national identity after the Second World War. The Kosovo Albanians don't have, they call themselves Albanians because they didn't, and it was the Serbs committing the genocide. It was, they never did anything wrong in a sense, yeah, as a nation. Maybe there was some individual criminal activities, yeah, and crimes, yeah, but they have no reason to deny their nationhood as an ethnicity, but there will be no kind of state union and there will be no kind of unification or something like this. It will never be, and there is also not the basis for that, neither legally, nor in the mentality, nor economically. That is also another issue. I could, because very different economies now. I think I was very clear on that one. So Great Albania is only a propaganda tool of the Serb machinery of Yugoslavia and of Serbia today against the Albanians, and to discredit Kosovo independence as somehow just an annex of Albania. It has a strong national identity, Kosovo. It has developed it similar like Austria. And Austria, by the way, is an independent country. You know, all these people on the WhatsApp and on, no, not WhatsApp, on YouTube, who are always calling me German, it's very offensive. But okay, some of them don't know. But also these people give me a lot of bad names. I can live with that. I'll just look in the sun. I'm here also, I'm doing it also to get some of the steam out of these bad emotions and to educate at least maybe some people are listening and learning and getting some idea. I tell the things as I see it, as I saw them the last 20 or 30 years. I'm doing this activity, traveling through Southeastern Europe and talking about peace and about unification against Milosevic and against genocidal terror regimes. And I'm talking for peaceful cooperation and for Europe, which is united, including all Balkan countries. Yeah? Now, since 2008, we have reached the optimal outcome in statehood. With Kosovo independence, historically, we should have done that already earlier in '91, but we were not ready. We paid, and the Kosovo people paid dearly with that mistake. And so gradually we are ready now for, I think, reason. And then we can move into the European Union of 36. If the British ever will come back, we will be 37. Maybe the Norwegians will consider as well, and this is the future. And then we will be a more federal Europe. We will be similar like the United States with 50 states, maybe 52 with Washington DC. And then gradually this will be the Europe of our children and grandchildren. It will be a United States of Europe, and I'm very happy about it. Kosovo and Albania will be member states, same like Ukraine, Georgia and Moldova, and maybe other states as well. There is future possible where in the second part of this century maybe also more countries will join, but in this part until 2050 we will go for this 36 member states, yeah, with Ukraine included and with Moldova included and with Georgia included. Yeah. Maybe I'm not successful to convince everybody for 2029, but there's another 20 years to go until 2050. And the sunset will set beautifully every single day over the Durrës Bay. And if I'm lucky, I can go here to retirement and I will tweet for peace. Make many sunsets videos. In the summer I will be here. In the winter I go, during the year I'm in Schönbrunn talking about peace and thanking you for your likes, that you listen and you conclude. I mean, we are discussing about the future of Europe. We don't need Macron to come here. He is never coming. He is only interested in big countries and members, voting in the council and so. But if he would come to Albania to learn about the country, I repeat again, you know, the Romans were here for a reason. They wanted they built a lot of facilities here because it was important for them on the road to Constantinople. For us it is unimportant for some bizarre reason. We think that we are smarter than the Romans. That's somehow very bizarre for me. But I think that the future is this united Europe, a Europe of 37 member states, maybe even more with the British or Norwegians. You know, the Swiss don't want, the Icelandics don't want, it's fine, the Norwegians maybe, yeah. It's an option, but I think the Brits should come back, obviously, to be 37. And when we have the Ukrainians in, the Moldovans, the Georgians, we will build a much better European Union with the Balkans together, 37 countries and also 42 members in the alliance, in NATO. Everybody in the euro as much as anybody wants, but obviously it's much better to have the euro as a firm fundament of common basis for stability and for prosperity. That's of course fantastic. And that I will do this week here in Durrës and also in the coming years, you know, to call for Eurozone enlargement. Albania, you know, I've not been so successful. Rama, of course, doesn't like me since I criticized him in television in 2013 before the elections. He also thought I'm a German with the Süße, with the eyeglasses. Anyhow, my eyes are hurting in the sun a bit. I have to be careful, so that's why I have these sunglasses. But nevertheless, things are good. The sun is setting beautifully here over Durrës, a future port of Europe. And I hope that there will be a lot of investment, but not replacing, of course, the infrastructure, which is so vital for the Southern Balkans. I made that case already very clear. And I have already now a number of videos uploaded. Tomorrow I will go to the cultural heritage site of the King's Palace and the Roman Amphitheater and show you this one, and also explain more things about Albania, Kosovo, Macedonia, Montenegro, these 4 countries. I have now devoted a lot of effort in the last 15 years together with Ukraine, Georgia and Moldova. By the way, you might have seen they had this Batumi conference and they had this Batumi declaration. All 3 countries together want to go to the European Union. Maybe somebody is reading my tweets over there. Join CEFTA and the Regional Cooperation Council. I will make a separate video about that one, I think so, but nevertheless, now with Nord Stream being reality, don't fool around, but accept it and look that you get the best price out of it. And it's again what I say, the euro, of course, for Ukraine, Georgia and Moldova, and also to make sure that it's the future within the EU, with the EU potential candidate status. Yes, that will be a separate video, I think, not to mess up everything. Here's the sunset from Durrës. I think it's time to say goodbye. I say thank you very much. It's getting cold. I'm getting hungry. I would like to thank you very much for your attention. Best regards from Durrës, and please, get Albania in the European Union. And Mr. Rama, if you listen, please adopt the euro. Same in Macedonia. Let's get going. We lost enough time. Thanks a lot from the sunset. More to come. Bye.